No, actually, I began to choreograph much before. Uh, I began to choreograph with a group that was called Andamio. And I began to do my little experiments. And by the way, at that time, I had never seen dance theater. And I thought I had invented dance theater. You know, I began with experimenting with masks and experimenting with the small movements, with the gestures, small gestures. And I began to be very, very interested in theater. And so I began to really research and study a lot of theater and taking all the workshops I could. And that's a long time ago when I had this group. That was a group that it wasn't just my group, it was made by several other choreographers, between them Cecilia Lugo, Cristina Mendoza, y Arturo Garrido. And then I kept doing little pieces, but they were then like really small choreographies, no more than 5 minutes, 10 minutes at the most. So I went to Germany. In Germany I didn't choreograph, but Ryan Hill used to work a lot with improvisation. So I was improvising every day. So I would say like creating small choreographies for her, small proposals. And when at last I came back to Portugal, I suddenly said, well, I don't know, I knew it was my time to begin choreography. And although I had stopped for 7 years to choreograph, it's amazing how choreography is really in the mind. I had, the next solo I did after 7 years of not choreographing was much more mature than earlier works. And so I began every year to have a new performance, a whole-length performance. And so after having so much repertoire, me and my colleagues Susan Rosler and Robert Glass-Werner, we decided it was time to make a cultural association, and I decided that this was really my principal professional interest. The Voice of Melpomene. Melpomene was the muse of the drama. And actually that piece began, it's funny how each idea is completely different, how it comes out. It was because a viola player of the National Orchestra of Porto told me that she had an idea of doing a dance piece in video with a piece of Hindemith for viola. And she wanted something that, you know, like very small movements with that idea. Of course, at the time, I never had worked with video, and I panicked working with video. And so I said, okay, let me think about a piece. And she said, you know, I really want to work with you. I don't charge you any money. And I said, well, hey, let's take advantage of this. Her name is Linda Green. Now she's in San Francisco. And from that small idea, I began to develop a whole story about the history of theater. And it was with the bassoonist, that's Robert Glass-Werner, and Linda Green, a viola player, with myself and other two dancers, Susan Rosler and Antonio Portela. And so it developed into all the dramas, you know, besides of kind of showing the different periods of the history of the theater. At the same time, there was the dramas of the artists in everyday life. And so it was really ironic, because you had like an audition situation that he never is accepted. You have the musician that can never concentrate. And so we would always play with this irony of the artists. And that's one of my pieces I want to make again, but Linda Green is in San Francisco now, so I'm hoping she's coming back soon.